In our latest 2026 NFL mock draft, we gave the Philadelphia Eagles the perfect first-round wide receiver to replace A.J. Brown.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson. That's Keith Sanchez. And this is the third installment of our first round NFL mock draft. Guys, on today's episode, we're going to break down picks 22 through 24, tell you why the Philadelphia Eagles found the perfect first round replacement for A.J. Brown. Then we're going to go through picks 25 through 28 and why KC Concepcion is going to help elevate an MVP quarterback's game, and picks 29 through 32. And let's just say we got a running back off the board to help the Super Bowl champions. Keith, let's start at pick 22. We have so again, guys, for those who are just tuning in, I had AFC, Keith had NFC in our mock. I gave the Los Angeles Chargers Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Keith gave the Philadelphia Eagles Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington. And I gave the Cleveland Browns Kadyn Proctor, left tackle out of Alabama. Keith, let's go right up to Denzel Boston. We've talked about this a few times. Again, it's always been the same: where there's smoke, there's fire, right? We just saw recently the Eagles and the Packers agreed to a trade for Dontavian Wicks, right? They're adding more resources to the wide receiver room. And it's like, all right, like, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we truly believe that A.J. Brown, that trade is coming, right? Whether it's the draft day trade or they're trading for a 2027 second round pick, whatever it is, that trade is coming. Denzel Boston, as we've said multiple times, Denzel Boston feels like the perfect guy to step into the A.J. Brown type of role in terms of how he wins, the confidence he can instill, big body, physical receiver, ball winner, guy that, to me, I love him across the middle of the field, in between the numbers, in between the hashes, that possession receiver that meshes very well with what they have in Devonta Smith.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, DP. And just like you said, I think 2-3 times, right? Where there's smoke, there's fire. And it just seems like there's going to be something, right? And I say this with the Philadelphia Eagles. I've said it with the Dallas Cowboys, right? This is about leveraging yourself to give yourself the opportunity to be able to move forward, right? Whether that's keeping A.J. Brown and everything becomes, what's the word? Copacetic, right? Everything becomes copacetic. Or if you have to move on from him and then you still keep the weapon, right? Like you have Devonta Smith and then you get Denzel Boston to throw him in there. So I'm a fan of the situation. I think it should happen. I think that it's time for them to move on, right? Like when locker rooms and when your team doesn't perform at the level that it should perform because of distractions and chaos. Like, this is the definition of distractions, right? Little things that we criticize players about, we categorize them as distractions. I wouldn't necessarily throw that in there, but this one is. Like, you can see that it's impacting the quarterback. It's impacting the offense. It's impacting the coaches, right? So it's like, you know what? It's time to move on. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a draft day trade. The Philadelphia Eagles go ahead and replace him with another big body possession type of wide receiver who also has down the field capabilities and go and get the football.
And guys, I want to our Locked On family, we're not saying Denzel Boston is going to be the next A.J. Brown, right? We're not
well, because
that's not what we're saying.
I think this is the thing and this is why I think it will happen too. It's, in my opinion, it's not like the Philadelphia Eagles. They run like, let's say, the Indianapolis Colts when they had Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne, right? With those two, where they were throwing the football all the time, and those two wide receivers were integral parts, right? I think if you look at it, the Philadelphia Eagles, the way they want to operate as far as running the football, being physical, kind of a ground and pound type situation, they can afford to take a step down at the wide receiver position, because I think that it's not like A.J. Brown is catching, and that might be his issue, right? He's not a 1,500-yard, 1,600-yard wide receiver where you say this whole offense revolves around him. So I think you can take a bit of a step down in talent, but if you're able to improve the overall culture and vibes and and everything else, I think it could be a step up in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, especially from a low maintenance situation, right? Like Denzel Boston can come in as a rookie.
Yeah.
Like he comes as a rookie, he's like, I'm just trying to get in where I fit in. I want to make plays for this team. I want to develop. I want to grow. I want to do all the things that I need to do to help this team win. And AJ Brown, he goes to whether it's New England Patriots, wherever he goes, right? I think the betting odds favorite is New England to pair with Drake May, and he walks into that Stephon Diggs role as the bona fide one. And now you got a lot of capable 2s and 3s depending on the matchup and the day, and it's a win-win. You know, like that what was it on TikTok? That phrase, a win's a win. Like it's a win-win situation for both teams. You get the situation for the Patriots, you get that star receiver, and if you're the Eagles, you get rid of a situation that just isn't helping winning.
Yeah, or DP, listen, and I because the criticism is for Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, right? But you look at his numbers. I'm talking about AJ Brown, even with the Tennessee Titans, right? 2019, he had 1,051 yards, right? 2020, he had 1,075 yards. 2021, he had 869 yards, right? Then he gets to the Philadelphia Eagles, 1,400, and then 1,079 and 1,003, right? So basically, when I look at this and make sure I'm doing the numbers right, you've been in Tennessee for 3 years. You've been in the Eagles for 4 years. I think 3 of your 4 years with the Philadelphia Eagles outpaced your 3 years with the Titans, right?
Oh, yeah, so he definitely was more productive.
Yeah, so I'm trying to understand that thought process, right? And that's why we, talking about it, and the reason I outlay that is like this might be bigger than football, right? And that's why I say with the Philadelphia Eagles, it's like it's just time to move on. Like it's time to move on overall.
I mean, you could kind of see like they're like I always kind of watch mannerisms and interactions. I'm just like, this isn't a very this is a fluid situation, but not from a good standpoint. This is a fluid situation. I'm like watching it. I'm like, this could dissolve pretty quickly if if winning isn't consistent and things of that nature. So, but let's switch gears. I know Chargers fans are thinking, man, why'd you give us a safety, right? And I pull up our lads here. Want to look at the safety room for them. Now, this is a team that went.
I thought that was an interesting pick, DP. I thought that was
I think most people will feel that way, Keith. They're like, man, what do they go back to the offensive line? Well, you're hoping, hey, Rashawn Slater's healthy, Joe Alt's healthy. Brought in Tyler Biadasz to play center. Brought in Cole Strange to play their right guard. You got Trevor Penning as the left guard. If this offensive line is healthy, Justin Herbert feels good, or Marion Hampton feels good, everything. But when you look at the safety position, at free safety, you got Elijah Molden, Tony Jefferson, who continues to play well even as he gets older. But you got RJ Mickens at free safety. You got Kendall Williamson as the backup strong safety. We know that Derwin James plays that nickel star role for this defense. Getting a guy like EMW who can learn from both Derwin James and Tony Jefferson, and he can come in and give you more explosiveness from an athletic standpoint than Tony Jefferson can bring you right now. Bring you that heavy hitter, that power guy, but also learn how to deal with those receivers in the nickel. I think long term, this is a move that makes a lot of sense. It seems like they're okay at corner, and they like Cam Hart and Tarheeb still. They got Dante Jackson and everything as well. So I feel like they're going to be probably okay at corner, but just improving and getting younger in the safety room, especially in the strong safety room right now. Because what if Tony Jefferson gets hurt and you got to throw somebody out there that's not actually a starting talent, starting caliber talent at safety? You're dealing with Pat Mahomes when he comes back. Bo Nix has led the Broncos to the postseason back-to-back years. And if it wasn't for him getting hurt versus Denver, they're probably the ones facing Seattle, probably still losing to Seattle, but they're probably the ones facing Seattle in the Super Bowl. And you got Fernando Mendoza and Kirk Cousins coming in to Las Vegas with the Raiders. You got to deal with Brock Bowers. I think that made a ton of sense, Keith.
Yeah, no, when you explain it that way, I think it's kind of being ahead of the curve, right? In addressing the situation and getting younger there. And also,
and they can't stay healthy in Los Angeles for the Chargers. Yeah. So you need to have as many bodies available as possible.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with strengthening a strength, right? Like just becoming better at a situation. I don't find an issue with that. DP, let's do this, man. We have the Bears, the Bills, the Niners, the Texans all coming up next. And I'll tell you this, that two of those teams are taking wide receivers, right? What wide receivers and what teams? We'll talk about that coming up next.
The NHL playoffs are here, where every shift matters, every moment is intense, and the pressure is at its highest. And just like performance matters on the ice, it matters off the ice too. That's where Rougit comes in. Rougit offers treatments designed to help you get ready and stay ready when it matters most. Their top option, Rougit Ready, combines clinically proven ingredients in a simple mint that dissolves under your tongue. It works fast, often in about 15 minutes, and can last up to 36 hours. And they also offer Go Long, designed to help you with both performance and control. It's all about confidence and feeling like yourself again. Head to Rougit.com/LockedOnNHL and get 15% off your ED treatment. That's Rougit.com, RUGIT.com/LockedOnNHL for 15% off. Rougit, performance medicine for men. Before we break down picks 25 through 28, don't forget to check out our Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes and access to our group chat via Discord with me, with Keith, and other listeners of the show. Tap the link in the show notes, so go to LockedOnNFLDraft.supercast.com to subscribe. At pick 25, the Chicago Bears. We went chalk here. Keith gave them Cade McDonald, big defensive tackle out of Ohio State. I feel like that needs to be the pick on draft day if he's there. At pick 26, I gave the Buffalo Bills KC Concepcion, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. At pick 27, Keith double back-to-back with receivers, gave the San Francisco 49ers Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana. And I closed out with pick 28. I gave the Houston Texans Lee Hunter, interior defensive tackle, nose tackle out of Texas Tech. Keith, I said it. KC Concepcion, I think, will, in this situation, he walks in as the most talented receiver in that receiving core, from speed, route running, separation, just playmaking ability, right? Like, you have Josh Palmer, you got Keon Coleman as the bigger body guys. You have Khalil Shakir, who's the pure slot. I don't think he's playing Z and outside and all that.
You think he supersedes DJ Moore as far as being the most talented?
I forgot about DJ Moore. I did. You know what? Well,
and the reason I'm asking is because DJ Moore is specific in what he does a lot, but it's kind of his role in it's difficult, right? Like, because
he's a vertical playmaker, but also a power playmaker. He's a kind of a jack of all trades, and what you can get from a wide receiver standpoint.
Not discussed, right? But he's probably the closest thing, because everybody throws out the Deebo Samuel thing. He's probably the closest to that kind of body type and utilization that we get from wide receiver.
100%. Yeah. And I think also with this pick, Keith, I think it could possibly signal the end, the cutting ties with Keon. You trade him, maybe for a third, fourth round pick, whatever you can get for him, and let him go to greener pastures. Like, they always say, grass is always greener. Sometimes it is, though. You know what I mean? Some people take better their yards than others. So maybe it's a situation where these two just need a split, and maybe he goes somewhere else and he finds that role and that comfort in that offense, and he becomes the guy that we thought he was at Florida State, right? But now you get a KC Concepcion, gives you that speed, explosiveness, and that route running ability that they haven't had since Stephon Diggs left.
Yeah, and so I asked you the question, but I think I'm gonna answer my own question, right? Like, could he supersede DJ Moore? I'll say I think there's a possibility, because they're different type of wide receivers, right? But I think they're complementary also. So I think it's more about allowing both guys to play their role. The way I view KC Concepcion, and we always discuss this, right? Just about understanding how to play the position, right? Just the intricate details of it, the instincts of playing the position. That's what KC has, in my opinion. He's like how do you put this? Because Khalil Shakir was a fifth round pick, I think, fifth round pick coming out of the draft. And Khalil was one of those guys that was a high instincts player, and you've seen that translate, right? I think you get the instincts of Khalil Shakir combined with more explosiveness, right? Like, and that's always been a thing. Like, this is a high level athlete that's explosive. So I like the situation, even, you know, like you said, having DJ Moore. Even if they decide to keep Keon Coleman, which I'm kind of with you, I think that to me should signal kind of moving on, right? And you can find a trade partner, right? The first team that comes to mind is probably the team they shouldn't trade him to, but the Chiefs, right? I thought about the Kansas City Chiefs, like that would be a good spot for him, but just don't do it. If you
don't trade with him again.
don't do that. But you know, there's a couple of different teams that
I mean, heck, we talk about Denzel Boston to Philly. What if, you know, if they don't go wide receiver round one? You put him in that AJ Brown type on that power X.
Yeah, you trade him out of the conference, right? He's out of the conference now.
Completely out of the conference.
The only time you have to worry about him is in the Super Bowl, right? If you get there, they get there. That's the only time you have to worry about him. So I like the KC Concepcion to the Buffalo Bills because they need it. They need a dynamic playmaker, and like you said, it's been since Stephon Diggs that they've had that type of go-to dynamic number one wide receiver.
Absolutely. I mean, like and you're right. Khalil Shakir being the 5th round pick, he's developed well into that slot receiver. But giving Josh Allen, here's my thing. Love Josh Allen. I want to remove the superhero mentality from Josh Allen until we tell you to put the cape on, and we need you to put the cape on. Like, there are times he puts the cape on, and it's like, nope. I just needed you to have the glasses and the briefcase and just go to work. Be Clark Kent. Adding a KC Concepcion with DJ Moore, with Khalil Shakir. You got Dawson Knox, who they re-upped in terms of a contract. I think they gave him an extension. Got Dalton Kincaid, and you got you got James Cook in the backfield. Like, that's a situation where we can lean on the weapons, and giving Josh Allen that quick winner who could play the Z spot. He's the lineman versatile in KC Concepcion. You can put him in the backfield, create advantageous matchups. We know he's a 3-level route runner, but he's really good in the short to intermediate areas, especially you get him out into with his route running, you get him into the void. Yeah, and now you let him be a playmaker after the catch. He's outstanding with that. So I just think, I want Josh Allen to be able to come into the season and not feel like the pressure of the world of the Buffalo Bills are on his right arm. We want you to make plays, but we got enough playmakers for you now where, I mean, heck, you remember the 13 seconds game? Was that Mahomes or was that Tyreek Hill? That was Tyreek Hill. You know what I mean? But that's what happens when you give your quarterback a dynamic weapon like that.
Yeah, and we see the other side of that, right? Just talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, when they don't have the dynamic weapons, it shows, right? It's a little bit of a struggle. So I like that. DP, we've discussed Omar Cooper Jr. to the 49ers before. So, I think that's a slotted in. I think it works. You made the pick. Yeah, you made the pick of the Houston Texans getting Lee Hunter. We've talked Peter Woods here before and his athleticism. We talked Caden McDonald, right? But I want you to discuss Lee Hunter to the Houston Texans and him being a big body. How does that impact the game and just not him being an upfield rusher?
Man, I think, he fits number one culture-wise, right? I think DeMeco Ryans is one of those coaches similar to a Dan Campbell and the Bill Belichick culture. It's not just talent, but you got to play with the right mentality and the motor to be a part of this defense. This is a special defense. And I think adding a guy like Lee Hunter, he's going to help them, number one, in the run game. Only keep, whether it's him, Caden McDonald, Peter Woods, I love for the pass rushing upside. He's not going to play that same type of role as that nose tackle to keep my linebackers clean at the second level and let those guys move around and flow and get to the football. Lee Hunter will do that. I still think that you got to work on the pass, the pad level. I think there's some pass rush ability with him. With his power, he showcased enough quickness off the ball to drive in the blockers and just reset the line of scrimmage and walk guys back into the quarterback, right? And he's also one of those guys. I remember at Senior Bowl watch, of course, I wasn't there. You were there in person. I watched the tape. There were reps where this dude was just purely dominant. And it was just like team reps, one-on-ones. It didn't really matter. He just got what he did what he wanted to do. And I love seeing those type of plays. And I think DeMeco Ryans is the type of coach to unlock that. And then you think about the fact that, you know what, if we have to double team them, that means we're not double teaming the elite edge rushers. And that's a problem. So we got to figure out who we're going to double team, who we're going to leave 101. And if you leave Lee Hunter 101, I like that trajectory for his career, especially as a rookie, to get those 1-on-1 matchups on third downs to be able to rush the passer.
Yeah, I agree. DP, listen, we had picks 25 through 28. We had 2 wide receivers, 2 defensive tackles, right? The definition of balance, right? But coming up, we're rounding out the draft with picks 29 through 32. We have an edge rusher, a corner, offensive tackle, and even a running back going in these next 4 slots. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned to know where those positions, which players get drafted, the back end of this 2026 NFL draft from Locked On.
If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. How does it help you track and keep track of your finances? Well, it tracks all of your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going, and you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of up-and-coming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day, and thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you. With pick 29, I gave the Kansas City Chiefs Keldrick Falk, defensive lineman out of Auburn. At pick 30, I gave the Miami Dolphins Chris Johnson, cornerback out of San Diego State. At pick 31, I gave the New England Patriots Blake Miller, right tackle out of Clemson. At pick 32, Keith gave the Super Bowl winning, the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks Mike Washington Jr., running back out of Arkansas. Keith, the Keldrick Falk one felt really good to me when I made that pick in our mock.
How do you? Because I know you've discussed the Kansas City Chiefs before, and this was the selection you made. How do you view him fitting with the Kansas City Chiefs, just with them having the George Karlaftis of the world and those guys? Like, do you view him as a dynamic pass rusher? Like, what do you think his role is as far as impacting the Kansas City Chiefs defense?
Man, for me, Keith, I want him, #1, learning from Chris Jones. That's #1. I want him learning as that interior defensive lineman with Chris Jones. Right now, they got Ashton Gelati from Louisville. They still got Felix and Duke Uzoma. They got George Karlaftis, Ethan Downs, Tyreek Smith. Their interior defensive line, they toyed with our boys Wait, Omar Norman Lott. I think they made it. I think they bulked him up. They did a little bit too much with him as a rookie, and it negatively impacted them. They brought in Kyrus Tonga to put alongside Chris Jones. But I think for me, Keith, because they run more of a 4-man front, I would absolutely put them on rundowns. I'm subbing out. I'm taking Gelati off the field, and I'm putting Keldrick Falk right there. I'm putting him in there because now my front four looks like Keldrick Falk, Tonga, Chris Jones, and George Karlaftis. We're going to be very difficult to run the ball against. And then on third downs, I'm gonna bring Gelati off the bench. He can come in as that kind of like sub package rusher. Him, Uzoma, let those guys figure that part out. And I'm pulling Tonga off the field, and I'm reducing Keldrick Falk right beside Chris Jones. And I'm trying to collapse the pocket with 2 6'5", 6'6" physical defensive linemen that can long arms, can push guys back in the pocket, but also get their hands up in the face of the quarterback and make it harder to throw the ball over the middle of the field. I think that's probably the best plan for him. And I think also, like, Steve Spagnuolo has a type. Like, he wants bigger body defensive linemen. He I don't think he'll be in on the Malachi Lawrence, who's 6'5", 250, who's more of a stand-up pure edge rusher. Should he be up? Yeah, he should. That's what you're missing, is that type of juice and explosiveness. But I don't know if he'll be up for it, because his type has always been big body guys. So Keldrick Falk, to me, felt like a really good situation, especially right here at 29, where you have your second first-round pick after trading away Who was the corner? Oh, Trent McDuffie. And I think I gave him Mansour Delane. So in first round, Chiefs, you walk out with a new corner, Mansour Delane at 9, and you walk out with a versatile defensive lineman in Keldrick Falk at pick 29.
No, I'm with that. Let's do this. The Patriots, right? They selected offensive tackle from Clemson, Blake Miller, which has been, I think, a name that's been trending over maybe the past month and a half, right? But I want to ask you, because you made this, and you had 3 of these 4 picks, right? These last 4, with the AFC. So I'm gonna ask you again. I'm gonna toss it to you again. Blake Miller with the Patriots. How did you see that fit and the reasoning behind that selection? And then also, I want to ask you this: how high are you on Blake Miller?
I think Blake Miller could be a back in the round 1 caliber tackle. Heck, I truly believe that's another guy at 17. If Penei Sewell flips to the left side, and let's say Spencer Fano and both CC Mawino are off the board, which is a very real possibility, I would be fine with the Lions taking him at 17, right? Because I think he comes in ready-made, just safe floor and everything. Really good run blocker, really improved as a pass protector on that right side, and you leave him to play his natural position, which has been right tackle. So I'm high on him, Keith. I like the development, the development I've seen from him. I think they have Morgan Moses as the right tackle right now for the Patriots, but he's clearly, he's been in the league for a long time, and he's coming up. Like eventually, he's going to call it quits, and everything. So having an elder statesman in the room makes sense. While you can allow him to learn from him, but also I think that Blake Miller could play a little bit of guard, right? Like he could be one of those guys with the run blocking, with his strength, with his long arms. He could be a guy that can kick down into guard if you need to, and allow him to play guard right away, and then he takes over that right tackle spot to help Drake May, the run game, and everything else for the future. I think similar to what we talked about with the Chargers, with the O-line, you don't want to get caught slipping, you know what I mean, going into the next offseason, like, man, Morgan Moses retired on us. Well, you probably knew he was getting close to that point anyway. You probably should go ahead and prepare, and I think this is the right way to do so, and just protect Drake May. We watched the Super Bowl. We all did. People put a lot of it on Will Campbell. That entire offensive line got whooped. All right, like all 5 guys got beat. Like it just was what it was. Like I'm not blaming a rookie who had a severe knee injury who was gutting it out. You know what I mean? Instead of sitting down, he kept playing, right? Heart of a warrior. But it wasn't just a Will Campbell problem. That Seahawks defense dominated the line of scrimmage. And they found ways to create pressure at every single position. So, yeah, no, I want to protect Drake May, whether that's putting him at right tackle right away, which I probably want to let Morgan Moses stay there, but I'll probably try to play him at guard and let him take over one of those guard spots just for the beginning of his career.
Yep. DP, I think it's only right we end this podcast of discussing pick 32, right? The Seattle Seahawks drafting running back from Arkansas, Mike Washington Jr. And listen, we've done a couple of these mock drafts, and this is maybe my 2nd, 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th time of selecting a running back for the Seattle Seahawks. And I just think they're in a position to do it. And honestly, it's probably their biggest position of need, right? They can tweak a couple different things, whether that's the offensive line, defensive, the secondary. But you look at the running back, I think the running back is their biggest position of need. Like, and you look at what was able, like, you just take the Super Bowl, right? And how they were able to kind of grind it out until Sam Darnold got comfortable. That was because of the running game. That was because of Kenneth Walker. He's gone, right? And then backup running back, he tore his ACL. Yeah, Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL. So you don't know what that's going to look like. So it went from a position of strength to quickly. Now it's probably your biggest hole. So I think drafting a guy, and I kind of flip-flopped, and I think a lot of people in this industry are trying to figure out who's RB2, right? After Jeremiah Love, is it Jadarian Price? Is it Mike Washington? Right? In this situation, I went Mike Washington just because I think that the Seattle Seahawks probably need more of a bell cow guy because they lost their bell cow guy, right? Like just I just blanked on his name again. Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah.
Returning from an ACL injury, it's going to take some time, right? So you need a immediate impact guy. In my opinion, Mike Washington showcased that, listen, at Arkansas, I did it, right? Like I carried the ball 15, 20, 25, 30 times a game. I understand how to do it. And then when you combine that with the speed and explosiveness, yeah, I think this, you talk about maybe a potential upgrade at the position, right? And this is just you adding a dynamic running back to this situation, I think could be really good for the Seahawks overall.
No, I agree. I think that it's a real possibility, guys. I want everybody to understand it, whether it's Price or Mike Washington Jr. at 32, or maybe they wait till second. Like they're going to draft a running back.
Like you can't get mad. I mean, because it's a position of need. Like it's not like it's not a forced thing. It's kind of like, hey, we need to figure this thing out, right? And free agency is over with, right? Free agency is over with. So now it's the draft. And listen, the other part is this is not a deep running back draft, right? This is not last year where you can, stick and pick and wait to the third, fourth, fifth round. If you wait to the fifth round,
if they kept David Martinez, they probably would be all right now, Keith. Like, you know what I mean? But they let him go and become a free agent. He probably would have been the guy that you walk into training camp with. Is like, you know what? He's RB1. He knows what we do. All of that, but they were a little impatient with that. I want to go back to the Patriots real quick because I can already hear Patriot fans. I had to go look at the depth chart. You signed Elijah Vera Tucker. You have Michael Onwenu. Owenu's going to be locked in at the right guard spot. Vera Tucker has battled injuries almost every year.
His entire career. Yeah,
like his entire career.
That's been the
I'm
whole
sorry.
situation.
I'm not banking on that. Even though we signed him to a contract, I'm not banking on. So yes, Blake Miller can absolutely be he could be a swing tackle and swing guard, a multi-purpose offensive lineman. I know it's not a receiver, it's not an edge rusher stuff, but promise you that having that value of offensive lineman, knowing that, hey, what we just watched in the freaking Super Bowl, no, like I want to again, Vera Tucker when healthy, one of the best guards in football. He can absolutely play, he can hoop, but the problem is, he is destined to miss games. It just happens. So you watched it with the Jets. You signed him to a contract, and I guess you're assuming that, hey, we're a better strength and conditioning situation. It won't happen to us. Well, sorry to hear that. I'm still getting Blake Miller. I'm letting him play one of those positions, and I'm running with it. I'm running with it and letting him be the long-term tackle because right now you're not a team with a bunch of holes on your roster. Let's go ahead and take a luxury pick. It's all right. Take a luxury pick. Take that trip. Get on that boat and sip some good drink and just relax. That's what type of pick that is for the Patriots.
Yep, I agree with DP. That wraps up another episode of the Locked On NFL Draft. That is all 3 episodes, right? And if you just listen to this episode, make sure you go listen to episode 1 and 2 where we broke down the front part of the first 10 picks. We broke down the middle, 12, 13 picks, and then we broke down the last 2. But listen, that wraps up another episode of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at the Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all can talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, where you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's show, guys, we're going to be talking about this or that. We're going to tell you guys, is Keontae Scott a better value than a Caleb Downs? And we'll have that discussion on tomorrow's show. So come join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.